Well, everybody, I've got a special guest with me today, CEO of Silver Dollar Resources, and his name is Michael Romanek. And I know you guys probably, it's been a while since I've done one of these types of videos about precious metals or mining companies or whatever. We talk so much about cryptos lately, but um, a lot of people have actually been asking me, it's kind of perfect timing, got all these crypto profits and, what should I do with it? Should I diverse into other stuff? Well, honestly, the safe thing is yes. And one of my favorite things is precious metals. So this gentleman here, again, is CEO of Silver Dollar Resources, and probably has some interesting things to say about the silver market, what his company's doing. And as you guys know, we've heard all these stories about one of these days where silver is going to basically break free of the COMEX, the paper market, and the mining companies, the actual physical silver holders are going to be rewarded massively when that price spike occurs. So at the same time, people like to ask me, well, what about, lugging all this gold or silver around? Am I safe or whatever? Well, there's a secondary thing you could do. That's mining, mining companies and whatnot, invest in those companies, because every single time we saw spikes in the market, those companies, spiked along with it. So Michael, tell me a little bit about your company. How long have you guys been around? What exactly do you do? What are you focusing on mostly as far as metals goes, that kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah. Silver Dollar. We went public this past May. We're listed in Canada. Ticker is SLV. And in the States, we're listed on the OTCQB. Ticker is SLVDF. We have a 60 million Canadian market cap, no debt, $10 million Canadian cash.
Nice.
Eric Scott, who's a well-known mining financier, is our largest shareholder with 17%, and First Majestic Silver owns 16%. So between those two groups and the insider ownership, we have about 40% that's tied up. Our primary project is the La Jolla Silver Project from First Majestic. It's in Mexico. And we have award-winning geologists, Harry Durning and Bud Hellmeyer, as advisors. Between those two guys, they found over 1 billion ounces of silver and 10 million ounces of gold. So we're happy to have them involved.
Yeah, I'd say those guys are good at what they do. So you mentioned this. So this isn't it's on the U.S. stock exchange, but the Canadian stock exchange, which I know. I think Keith Neumeyer.
Yep.
I've had him on before and talked about his company a couple of times. And I think it was kind of the same thing where there's certain brokers in the U.S. that can get people to access to basically the Canadian market. So I had a bunch of people ask me at one point, and I think he had to clarify that you could just use one or two of these two brokers that could do it. But so how long have you actually been in the precious metals mining industry?
Myself, about 15 years, with most of my focus on corporate development, corporate finance. I am not a geologist, but I like to think that I do a good job at pairing the right technical people with each specific project.
Got you. So with you being boots on the ground, I mean, I know I've always heard, when it comes to gold and silver, that, the easy stuff's been mined, typically, and then they got to go deeper and deeper, and, it's getting harder and harder to find. But you guys have apparently found, I guess, a location or multiple locations that has a...
Yeah, La Jolla, when we were looking for, if you don't mind, La Jolla checked all the boxes for us. We went public in May, and it was my mandate to go find and source a quality silver asset. First Majestic had La Jolla sitting on the books. They inherited that when they bought Silvercrest back in 2015. It's a perfect project for us. Great location. It has a historic resource to build on, and most importantly, just phenomenal exploration potential. So it was a perfect fit for us. We made a deal with First Majestic, finalized it in August, and it's a way for them to, move a non-core asset off the books, let us spend our time and energy on it, advance the asset, hopefully prove up larger tonnage, and eventually put it into production.
Yeah, I would say, because again, I've had Keith on, and I've done even private videos by myself, just talking about some of the stuff he was doing, his company. So if you bought something from him, what you're telling me is probably 100% accurate. With what you probably think is there, because if Keith had it, I'm sure it was probably a pretty good asset. So It's good to see that someone's actually working on it, because I know he's got his hands full with all the stuff he's got going on. It, in your opinion on metals, like right now, all of the like dealers are like running out of stock. It just happened out of nowhere. You know, we had this big GameStop fiasco, and you know, they pumped the price up and crushed a bunch of these hedge funds because they were short. And then all of a sudden, like within days, it transfers into, holy crap, everyone's looking for silver and gold. And I mean, I've been talking about metals for a long time, and more crypto lately than metals, just because that's like the hot thing right now. But it does seem like there's something going on in the metals. Like, why are these people running out? Do you have any idea? Is there some kind of supply issue? Is it just something that a bunch of investors just jumped in, or do you know?
You know that you talk about the iShares Silver Trust in the States, and how it's, like you just said, it's paper silver,
Yeah.
right? It's not backstopped by the physical metal, where you have investments like the Sprott Silver Trust up here in Canada, and I think it's backstopped with the physical metal.
Yeah.
So it's a little different there. But yeah, I read the same things you do, that the dealers are running out of supply, they can't keep up, and the mints are running out. Yet, you know, the silver price kind of just
Gets up to 30, back down to 27, 28, and it comes back down like they always do.
It's kind of odd, for sure.
So after if this mine that you guys got, was it called La Jolla? Is that the name of it? You said?
That's correct.
Where is that out of?
It's 75 kilometers from Durango City. It's in Mexico.
Okay.
Durango.
Yeah, and there's some good properties down there for mining. If that's successful, and I believe it will be, do you guys have your sights on other things, or is that so big that you're just pretty much going to stay there and focus on that?
No, that right now, La Jolla is our main focus. However, we're very aggressive and always have my eyes open for other projects and opportunities. They're harder to find now that silver's up around 27 bucks. When we were first looking, nobody cared about silver. It was 14, 15 bucks an ounce. So, you know, I was making the phone calls and emails and pound the pavement, and there were projects out there. Now, a little harder to come by.
Yeah, so it's just funny. As soon as something happens in the market, or something, you know, the asset goes up, all of a sudden things can freeze up, you know. But when it's down, no one really cares about it. So you probably got in at a good time to grab that, you know.
Oh, for sure, perfect timing. And then you see, you mentioned cryptos and Bitcoin, and obviously you've probably seen the Elon Musk news about putting $1.5 billion into Bitcoin to maximize their returns in the cash, diversify from the US dollar.
Yeah.
Like that could be significant. Like you hear a lot of chatter now in mainstream media, like CNBC, talking about how they think other corporations will look at that, and look at Apple. I think they have what, 190, $200 billion in cash. So if they even take a portion of that and do the same thing, and Musk even mentioned, besides Bitcoin, gold bullion, as well as the gold ETFs. So, you know, it's a pretty big, bold move by him. But if other guys follow suit, that could be significant for gold and silver and Bitcoin, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the thing for me, you know, because there's certain people like, what's his name? Schmidt, Peter, Smith, is it Schmidt, his last name? Schiff, or Peter Schiff, whatever. He's, you know, he's always out there bashing Bitcoin, but he's just a gold bug. Like I mean, he talks a little bit silver, but he's like this huge gold bug, and that's it, nothing else there. But I'm like, no, I mean, you can't just close your mind off to that. You got to have an open mind to everything. And for me, like, okay, so let's say you make a bunch of money in crypto, you know, this digital asset. At the end of the day, like, you got to buy some kind of hard asset. And if you can't buy a hard asset, like, you know, yeah, you could buy gold or silver. That's a hard asset. But again, lugging it around, you know, and maybe some of these people in crypto are going to have a lot of money on their hands, and I don't see them buying a bunch of gold and silver, because typically they're going to want to store it at their house where it's safer. You know, when it's in your hands, your possession, you own it. When it's not, you don't own it. But investing in other silver, you know, companies like, for example, yours, or, you know, Keith Neumeyer's, all that stuff with the mining, it's kind of a way to diversify. That's some of the things I've actually been looking at lately is, okay, I want to get some real estate. I want to get some property with some of my crypto profits, but I've got precious metals, and I'm a big silver fan. So I don't have any gold, but I do have some physical silver. But I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I don't want to carry or have to deal with that moving it anymore. Like I'm good with that, but maybe I just start looking at some of the alternatives out there. And quite a number of people have been asking me lately about this exact thing. Joe, should we get into the silver miner? Should we get into SLV? Paper silver. So I'm like, no, don't mess with the paper stuff. Don't get on the COMEX. Don't play that just a gambling casino where they're going to wreck you and you're going to have a margin call. That's not an asset in my opinion, but a mining company or, one of the metals companies where you can actually buy this stuff. But again, once you get to a certain level, how much of that stuff can you carry around with you and how safe do you feel with it at your house? You know what I mean? So, yeah. So where do you see, based off of you said you acquired this property was it last year that you acquired it?
Yeah. In August. That's correct. Yeah.
In August. Okay. So you've probably already been there, boots on the ground. So far, how's it looking? Like everything you hoped it would be?
Well, with COVID, right, with all those restrictions, it's we had to find somebody to help us out to go take a look at the site, talk to the community, and we were very fortunate to have Mark Melfair, who's a geologist and happens to live in Durango City. He was the VP of Chesapeake Gold.
Yep.
And Chesapeake Advance, they have one of the largest undeveloped gold silver deposits in the world. And Mark was with his VP of exploration for those guys for several years. So we're very fortunate to have Mark help us out and stick handle things for us on site. So we're making excellent progress with that so far.
Okay. So you're public on the Canadian Stock Exchange. So you're pretty much ready to go. I mean, I know you're not on the American Stock Exchange, but you're already public.
Well, we're listed on the OTCQB.
Okay.
SLVDF is the ticker symbol, and it's DTC eligible.
Okay. Okay, so it's definitely something we could get into if need be. Okay, well, cool. I appreciate you coming on. We'll if you have any more updates, any more progress you make on that mine, or any cool news, you got my email, of course, and I'd say feel free to email me any updates, and perhaps in the future as you make some progress, we'll have you back on.
Will do. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I wish you the best.